You think loyalty means staying. You think cutting people off is harsh. You think everyone deserves a second chance. You're wrong. Some behaviors are so toxic, so destructive, so unchangeable, that the only rational response is immediate removal. Not eventually. Not after one more conversation. Immediately. And if you don't learn to recognize these 5 things, they'll drain years of your life before you realize what happened. Let me be clear. This isn't about cutting people off for small mistakes. This is about recognizing patterns that psychology shows almost never change. These are the behaviors that reveal someone's core character. And when you see them, you need to act fast, because the longer you wait, the harder it gets, and the more damage they do. The first thing that should trigger immediate removal is chronic lying. Not the small lie to avoid hurting your feelings. Not the white lie about being late. Chronic, habitual, unnecessary lying. Lying when the truth would be easier. Lying about things that don't even matter. Lying to see if they can get away with it. This is pathological. And it never gets better. Here's why chronic liars are so dangerous. You can't build anything real with someone you can't trust. Every conversation becomes a detective game. Every story requires verification. Every promise is suspect. You're not in a relationship. You're in an interrogation. And the worst part, chronic liars don't feel guilt the way normal people do. They justify it. They blame you for making them lie. They rewrite history to make themselves the victim. Psychology shows that pathological lying is often linked to personality disorders. Narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, borderline personality disorder. These don't get fixed with a heart-to-heart conversation. Therapy takes years, and only works if they admit there's a problem. Most don't. So you're left holding the damage while they move on to the next person. If you catch someone in multiple significant lies within a short period, cut them off. No explanation needed. You don't owe them a chance to manipulate you with another lie about why they lied. Just remove them, block them, move on. Your peace is worth more than their potential to maybe change someday. The second thing that should trigger immediate removal is manipulation through guilt. This is the person who makes you feel bad for having boundaries. The person who plays the victim every time you say no. The person who uses your empathy as a weapon against you. They don't ask for help. They guilt you into giving it. And if you stop, they make you the villain. Here's how you spot this. You feel guilty for things that aren't your fault. You feel responsible for their emotions. You feel like you're abandoning them when you're just protecting yourself. That's not love. That's manipulation. And it's deliberate. They've learned that guilt works on you, so they use it every time they want something. Research on emotional manipulation shows these people rarely change because the tactic works. Why would they stop using a tool that gets them what they want? They've built their entire relational strategy around making you feel bad so you'll comply. And the longer you tolerate it, the worse it gets. They escalate. They find new guilt buttons to press. They involve other people to pile on the guilt. If someone consistently makes you feel guilty for having boundaries, for prioritizing yourself, for saying no, cut them off. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, a partner, or family. Your mental health is non-negotiable, and anyone who weaponizes your empathy doesn't deserve access to it. The third thing that should trigger immediate removal is celebrating your failures. This is subtle. This is the friend who seems supportive, but always has a "I told you so" ready when you struggle. The family member who brings up your past mistakes at every gathering. The partner who downplays your wins but highlights your losses. They don't want you to fail, but they're not sad when you do, and that tells you everything. Here's the psychology. People who celebrate your failures are threatened by your success. Your growth makes them feel stagnant. Your wins make them feel inadequate. So subconsciously they sabotage. They discourage. They remind you of past failures to keep you from trying again. It's not support. It's suppression disguised as concern. You'll notice this pattern. You share a goal. They list all the reasons it won't work. You have a win. They minimize it or change the subject. You have a setback. Suddenly they're very engaged, very sympathetic, very eager to tell you what you should have done differently. That's not a friend. That's someone who needs you to stay beneath them to feel okay about themselves. Cut these people off immediately. You don't need their fake support. You need people who genuinely celebrate your wins and encourage you through losses. Life is hard enough without carrying people who are secretly rooting against you. The fourth thing that should trigger immediate removal is violating your trust publicly. This is the person who shares your secrets. The person who embarrasses you in front of others. The person who uses private information against you when they're angry. Once someone shows you, they'll humiliate you publicly. They've shown you they don't respect you at all. Here's why this is unforgivable. Respect is the foundation of every relationship. Friendship, romance, family, business. Without respect, there's nothing. And public humiliation is the clearest signal that respect is gone. They value winning the argument, getting the laugh, or hurting you more than they value your dignity. That's not fixable with an apology. Psychology research on trust shows that once it's broken publicly, it almost never fully recovers. You'll always remember that they were willing to humiliate you. You'll always wonder if the next argument will end the same way. You'll never feel safe being vulnerable with them again. So why keep them around? If someone violates your trust publicly, cut them off that day. Don't wait for the apology. Don't wait to see if they feel bad. Remove them. People who respect you don't weaponize your vulnerabilities in public. Ever. The fifth thing that should trigger immediate removal is refusing accountability. This is the person who never apologizes. The person who blames everyone else. The person who twists every conflict to make themselves the victim. They're never wrong. It's always your fault, or circumstances, or someone else. This is toxic at the core. Here's why this is so destructive. Growth requires accountability. Relationships require accountability. Without it, there's no change, no progress, no resolution. You're stuck in an endless loop of the same problems because they refuse to admit they contributed. And worse, they'll gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. Studies on personality disorders show that refusal to accept accountability is a hallmark of narcissism and antisocial behavior. These people don't see themselves clearly. They can't. Their ego won't allow it. So they rewrite reality to protect their self-image, and you're left questioning your own sanity. If someone consistently refuses to take accountability for their actions, cut them off. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. It doesn't matter if they're family. You cannot build anything healthy with someone who will never admit fault. You'll spend your life apologizing for things they did. Now here's the hard part. Cutting people off feels cruel, especially if it's family, especially if you've known them for years. But here's the truth. Keeping toxic people in your life is crueler. To yourself, you're choosing their comfort over your peace. You're choosing their feelings over your mental health. And that's not noble. That's self-destruction. You don't owe anyone access to you. You don't owe anyone a relationship. You don't owe anyone endless chances to hurt you. What you owe yourself is protection. What you owe yourself is a life surrounded by people who add value, not drain it. And sometimes protecting yourself means cutting off people you love. That's not cold. That's necessary. Here's what happens when you cut off toxic people. First, you feel guilty. They've trained you to feel that way. Push through it. Second, they'll try to pull you back. They'll apologize. They'll promise change. They'll use other people to guilt you. Stand firm. Third, you'll feel relief, space, peace, and you'll realize how much energy they were draining. Fourth, you'll wish you did it sooner. Let me be clear. I'm not saying cut people off for one bad day. I'm not saying end relationships over minor conflicts. I'm saying recognize the 5 patterns that psychology shows are almost irreversible. Chronic lying, guilt manipulation, Celebrating your failures, public trust violation, refusing accountability. If someone consistently does any of these, they've told you who they are. Believe them and remove them. So here's my question for you. Have you cut off someone toxic? Or are you still holding on hoping they'll change? Drop a comment. Tell me which of these 5 you've experienced. And if you want more no-nonsense life advice that prioritizes your peace over politeness, subscribe. This channel doesn't tell you what you want to hear. It tells you what you need to hear. And sometimes, what you need to hear is that it's okay to walk away.